Yo and hello everybody. What's up, Dave?
What's going on?
I don't know. Just thought we could hang out, talk cards.
I am more than ready. Are we on, you think? Because I'm clicking my it says it's still waiting.
We are on.
Okay.
I have it on another screen and it is showing us on that screen.
Oh, I see your commercial, so I got it.
Yeah.
I see your ad.
Yeah, you can skip it.
All
I don't care. Oh, I gotta have these on so I can read all the comments. We got Reese is here, and Chris Dobbins already has a question for us.
Oh, sure. I saw that. I saw that before, like a half hour ago, and I'm not quite sure exactly what the question is. Like the grading market and who's the benchmark? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, is there really a benchmark for prices? The prices are the prices. I mean, PWCC certainly doesn't set a benchmark. They certainly are, you know, you can get a premium with PWCC because of potential shield bidding, but I don't think they set the mark.
Nobody, I don't either, though I'll agree. PWCC gets the highest prices, but when I go through when I see what's the price of this X card, I go to past eBay sales, and I go to PSA site for auction realized prices on their cards.
Right.
And you know, invariably, if PWCC cards are always an outlier. I mean, they always are. And if I'm making an offer on a car, I let them know right out front. I'm not matching the last PWCC sale because you know, you'll have cards for $600, $550, $475, $675, and then a PWCC for $925. And I'm like, nope, you know, that's not where the market is.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Great as a seller, I guess. I don't know. Not all their auctions are legitimate. Everybody knows that.
And we got lots of folks in here. Aaron Davis, Otto, New York Yanks fan, Jay, autograph guy, Lou Rock, Ruben. Blue Jacket is demand, he says.
Well, thanks, Ruben. Appreciate that.
Debatable.
New York Yanks fan. What am I showing? Reese, guys, Otto, Lou Rock. Hey, everybody. I just contacted Mike. When was it? Over the weekend. And I said I'm at my mom's again, which is the right thing to do, right? Sometimes go visit your mother. And I told him I went down in the old basement and did this, you know, this onion skin light rummage. And I brought some stuff back. And I thought, well, what? I might as well show some of this stuff. It's not exactly really thrilling stuff, but I just got in the mood. It made me want to just talk some baseball cards. So more interested in just talking about stuff like that than showing some stuff. I think I've shown this to you before, Mike, and this is, I may have mentioned it to you. Just going through my dad's stuff it's kind of a mad scientist thing. I think it's kind of halfway between that last scene, that warehouse scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark, and your most disorganized flea market you've ever been to. It's funny. But here's something I just saw laying over on a stack of something, and it's a letter, a self-addressed stamped letter to my father in 1983. And what he had asked, he'd sent a letter to Ed Rouge, who played for Cincinnati against the White Sox, the Black Sox, in the 1919 World Series. And essentially he was asking him about the Black Sox scandal. And this very old man just wrote back on the outside of the envelope and sent it back that the first game of that World Series might have been fixed, but the other games were not. There you have it. From one of the players in the 1919 World Series for the winning team, Cincinnati, says maybe the first game, but the rest were not fixed.
I think I have right here an Ed Roush autograph. Right there.
You go. He lived till somewhere in the 80s. Obviously, he lived past 83.
And it shows him with the Cincinnati Reds on this picture, on this card. I miss Upper Deck making baseball cards, don't you?
I miss a lot of, you think about the balloon and you think about junk wax, and because there were so many companies making so many cards, but the fact of the matter is it was kind of fun having the competition and having a lot of more producers out there. I'd rather have 4 or 5 companies making 2, 3 products and one company making bazillion. But
yeah, no doubt. That's a pretty cool item, by the way. I love that kind of stuff. I do weird stuff.
Yeah. He wrote up to a lot of people, and he did TTM. Was probably one of the early guys to do that in the 70s. That's why he amassed this massive autograph collection. And back then, I presume most of them were legitimate signers. I know they were, because he had a Hall of Fame the Hall of Fame postcard sets, or the plaque sets. They were so nice to get autographed. And he had a collection of, I don't know how many Hall of Famers, or maybe 150 or so.
Wow.
And I know you hate to hear stuff like this, but I sold it.
No, it's okay.
5 or 6 years ago, and the guy told me he was submitting them to whatever grading service, PSA. Everyone came back good except for the Maze, which actually I think the Maze was good. I think Maze's autograph has changed, right?
Oh, totally.
Yeah. So I think it was probably a early 80s autograph, and I don't know. So
those were the days when you could go to a show and get Maze for $20 or whatever. I mean,
when I first started going to those shows, Mantle was $5. And yeah, you'd have Mantle sitting there, and Ford and DiMaggio, and you get the idea. There was 4 or 5 people, and they were all just I was always, as a little kid, now I wasn't a little kid during those times. I was more like 16, 17, but as a little kid, I was really terrified of getting autographs. I remember at the old Royal Stadium, I think it was 69, maybe 70. Ted Williams was coaching the Rangers, and my dad wanted him. No, the Senators. And my dad wanted me to go over and get his autograph, and I did, and I just remember being terrified. It was Ted Williams, and I was always a real big chicken going up to those guys.
He did coach the Rangers. He was the first head coach or manager for the Rangers.
What year was that?
72.
It may have been 72, because that's when the Kauffman Stadium opened and Arrowhead opened. So it may have been the first season there.
Interesting. Yeah, it's changed a lot, right? I mean, everything has, but I don't know. Show me something else that you got from your mom's.
Okay. Here's something interesting. This card, or this issue, shows up from time to time, and people always ask, what is this card?
It's a game card, right?
It is a game card, and it's Hank Aaron. And it is from, like, Mangini would know this right off. It's from the Milton Bradley game, which they had on the back. It says, I don't know, have any idea what this means because I didn't play the game, but there's a line of numbers and then home run, triple, etc., etc.
Can I ask you a question about that, or sort of about that? In 1968,
what I'm going to show you is not just the card.
Oh man, look at that!
The entire game that has, it's kind of unused. It's hard to see, or you pour it out, but you can see here the entire collection of cards, and it looks to me like there's, like, I don't know, 100 cards in here.
What year was that?
I think it came out in a couple of years. I think that this is 79 or 69 or 70. But yeah, it was just over there on the shelf. And so I guess I should probably I don't know. Oh, so there's just at least 100 players here.
Oh, there's Mays.
And yeah, and Seavers underneath.
Were they perforated?
What's that?
Were they perforated?
Yeah, they are. So I don't know if they came in sheets or what, but this must be, I noticed, I just lift up Mays, and underneath Mays was Seaver. So it must have been, what year did Mays go to the Mets?
73.
No, I'm sure this game is earlier than that. So maybe the Giants were underneath there. I don't know, but I remember watching Mays, and I remember watching with the Mets. But
well, he went to the Mets and went to the World Series with the Mets. So
yeah, I remember that. I remember that World Series.
What?
I don't think Mays played much in that, as I recall. I think he
did not.
Pinch hitter.
1968, didn't Topps put out a Milton, or wasn't there a Milton Bradley set similar to the 68 Topps set?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I don't know the story behind that. I don't know if you do, but
it's in a game, and the cards. The big way to tell the difference is the back, the shading of the back of the cards. There's probably other reasons that I don't really know much about that, but yeah, they essentially look identical, but the shade of the cards on the back, and those were part of the game. But I don't think that they particularly had game stats and stuff on the back. This looks like an odd game. It had kind of a spinner on it, and I don't know. I'll have to read the instruction sheets. And
was that the only year that Topps coordinated with Milton Bradley for that?
No, I think the Milton Bradley game. I think it came out in a couple of years, not just 1 year.
I'm just saying where they looked like the Topps cards,
Yeah, I think that was the only year. Yeah, okay. Just kind of these odd. You look at the card, and you can tell it's kind of off, kind of like Venezuelans and stuff like that.
Zombie Collector wants to know if we're going to see any Tom Brady cards tonight. Cough, cough.
No. But interesting story. I can't stand that guy, so let's just not talk about it. And I got sour grapes going here, guys. But listen to this. So I'm rummaging through a cedar chest in one of my guest bedrooms downstairs from my old stuff back at the old house and whatnot. This is it's 3 years ago. And what do I find in a top loader? A Bowman Chrome Brady rookie refractor.
No way.
Yeah. Just in with my Curtis Martin cards and stuff.
When did you find
that? I sent it up to PSA and got a 9. And I'm like, I hate fucking Tom Brady. So I sold it for $10,000.
Dang. When did you find it?
And it was 3 years ago.
Oh, okay.
2-3 years ago. So I don't want, anyway, in retrospect, you'd probably be a smarter person to keep that card, to be honest with you. But here's some photos I found. These are just snapshots down in the basement. It's supposed to be a spring training. There's Gibson.
Wow.
Usual. I know my dad went to at least one spring training when he was a kid. This would have been, or actually a young adult. This is probably early 60s or so. Is there any questions we're missing out here?
New York Yanks fan wants to know if there's any comic books you're going to show.
It's funny he mentions that. And I did down there see a bunch of comic books. And I found a lot of the comic books that my story is this.
Wrong way.
That's okay. I'm not going to show anything. I was a big Spider-Man kid. So when we would go on trips, I had this comic book chest, and we would drive on our vacations, and they were prolonged vacations because my dad was working on his master's, and we tended to go places and stay there for a while he worked. So my comics were all Spider-Man, which was number 2 all the way up to 100 probably. Little Jinx was a big one. Archie was a huge one. And then some other Marvel, X-Men and whatnot, but just a ton of that stuff. And it just really got trashed. But anyway, when I was down there, I did look at some. And I got some that he is not going to be interested in, but I thought it was cool just because of the cover. These classic illustrated. This is a first edition. And I think this classic illustrated, what they did is they made comics out of kind of classic stories. This is the Three Musketeers, and I thought this one was cool. War of the Worlds.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, they're really cool. They don't have a value. And comics are, you know, just like cards, I guess, that condition and grading is everything. These actually look like they're in pretty good condition. But I thought maybe I shouldn't have a number one just sitting in a box in the basement. I thought this was covered too, this Frankenstein.
Oh, yeah.
And that's just a cool cover. But anyway, yeah, I did see a lot of Archie comic books down there, and but I didn't really rummage through the comics much.
Mangini's here now, so if we have a question for him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Did he just get on? Did he ask him if he saw that Milton Bradley game?
John, Dave has a Milton Bradley game that he rummaged, and we're trying to figure out what year it was from.
Yeah, I think it's 70, but it's got it's a complete game, and it's got 7 stacks like this. And the game, I guess my question to him is, did they make that in more than 1 year?
He said 68.
All right, I'll take his word for it.
I'm
not sure.
We got some more questions.
Yeah.
Does Dave collect Type 1 or Type 2 vintage photos?
No.
Yeah.
No. I love them, especially those old Conlon photographs. If I was going to, collect photographs, I've thought about some mantles, but it'd have to be important mantles, like Type 1 or Type 2 that became a baseball card. Those, I would love. And then pre-war, I at one time was thinking about a Mathewson, but those are so expensive that I think you can't just buy one because, hey, that would really be neat to have. I mean, you really, I think, got to love that to do that. And I do not do that at all. I'm trying to think. I have a bunch of photos because, but they're all 50s colored players in the 50s and whatnot.
John,
great to get an autograph.
John corrected himself to 69, 70, and 71 that they made that game with those.
That makes sense. Now, here's something that I don't know if John has, but this, I was down there doing the rummage.
What is that?
It's a strip of 13 cards. And on this one, it has Mathewson and DiMaggio and Sisler and Feller and Tris Speaker. And I can't remember the R designation, but they're perforated in between. And what they would do is you would get them essentially in gumball machines. This is from 1950.
He says they're micro gumball cards.
Yeah, I think it's R234, something like that. And the Ruth is obviously the one to have, but they made them in strips of 13, and then they're perforated, so they would tear them and put them in gumball machines and whatnot, or vending machines or whatnot. So I saw that and I was like, well, that's neat. You know what the most exciting thing I found was?
Yeah, show me.
You're gonna love this. That, my friends, is Christmas 1968, and that is my Schwinn Stingray bike. And if you grew up in the 60s and 70s, your bike that was it. It was like your horse in the Wild West,
Yeah.
And as a collector, I tend to rebuy my childhood, whether it's games, comic books, or whatnot. And for years, I have tried to find this Schwinn bike. And I don't know much about bikes, but I think this one was probably just made by Sears. I think my parents went down to Sears and got it because it doesn't have any gears. It's just a pedal and from the seat. But I've been looking for that bike, and I would give a significant portion of my ball card collection to get my bike back, or one just like it.
That's awesome.
Banana seat. Yeah. Banana seat. I didn't have the sissy bar. You remember the sissy bar? The
Oh,
bar?
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I didn't have that, but
The sissy bar.
yeah.
All right. Are any of you guys familiar with the 88 Panini sticker album with Don Mattingly on the cover? Yes, I am familiar with it because I used to do that. I used to buy the Panini stickers and they were little stickers and I would put them in the book. Like I didn't know any better, didn't think anything of it. And I would stick them in the book. So,
Hey, let me show you something here.
Yeah.
Speaking of Ted Williams, remember I'm checking at Ted Williams? Well, my dad worshiped Ted Williams. You know, my dad was born in 35, so he was into baseball in the early 50s. He's a huge Red Sox fan. So my dad's down with my mother in 1991. They went on a cruise and they went down to Curacao, one of those islands down off South America, you know, with Aruba and whatnot.
Yeah.
And they're on one of those walking around the jungle dumb tours. And who's on the tour there? Ted Williams and his wife. So my dad didn't bother them, but he was dying to. But you know how they're always taking pictures and want you to buy them at the end? You know, here you go to this thing. Well, they're taking pictures and they get at the end. They're like, you know, here's your photo. You want to buy a photo of you and your wife? My dad said, no. He goes, I want that picture of that guy over there.
No way.
So he got it printed.
Let me see this.
And he bothered Ted Williams on his vacation to get it autographed. Ted Williams and his wife.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So my dad had no fear with stuff like that, especially your hero. And every time I see this thing, I just look at Ted Williams. My dad said that he was visibly annoyed that my dad was creeping on him and bought his picture and made him autograph it.
It's crazy that was 30 years ago now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Jeez, that is so cool.
It's just crazy.
And where was that? Where was that in the basement? Was it just randomly put somewhere?
Yeah, it was just in a box.
So I have a funny cruise story. When I went on my first cruise ever, Julie and I were reasonably newly married. So this was 15, 18 years ago, something like that. And went on a cruise and we get on there and we find out it's the Texas Rangers like appreciation cruise. It's out of Galveston. And I get on there and there's all these Rangers and you could play poker with like they had these private poker tournaments that you could go play in. And
cool.
I was like, heck yeah. So I didn't even hang out with my wife very much on our first cruise. I was hanging out with the Texas Rangers and Jim Sundberg was there, you know, some older guys and then some of the current players. And I remember getting some of I bought a playing deck of cards and had a bunch of players sign them just because I thought that would be kind of unique and different. And it was all for charity for like the Texas Rangers Foundation and stuff. So it was
cool the way things like that happen.
Yeah. Just so happened. So have any of you met Tommy Lasorda? No, I have not.
No, I have not.
No. Oh,
like he'd be he sounds like he would be a great guy. You know, that guy would play back in the day. So can you imagine the stories he had? I tell people to go look up Frank Howard on YouTube because Frank Howard tells great stories. He especially tells a great Mantle story. Here's a question about, does anyone know first baseball stickers Panini made? I don't.
I don't either.
That does bring me to something else I found down there that is kind of sticker related. Binders, which are always cool. So I was doing a little scounging around a few years ago, and I found this complete set of this 1970 Players Association football, which is really
they look like Kellogg's.
Exactly. And if you love that 3D and which I love Kellogg's and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm like, they're in a stack and I'm saying, well, I'm going to put these in an album. This a few years ago. And lo and behold, for some reason, cards 15 through like 22 were missing right out of the middle of it. I'm like, Dad, come on now. I mean, how do you miss 9 cards out of a stack of a complete set? So I thought, well, maybe that's a huge star run or something, because he would do that. He'd just get crazy and sell some stuff out of it. But no, it wasn't. And here when I was at my mom's Saturday, I'm rummaging through a completely different box in a little different area, an old wine box. There's the 9 cards.
Just by themselves?
Just by themselves. So I stuck them in there. But now this is what's interesting. So the sticker question brings me to when I was down there this last time. I found this complete set of Players Association sticker cards from 1972. And it's pretty cool. It's got a young Bradshaw there, Mike Garrett there. He's running back for the Chiefs. Butkus.
Floyd Little.
Yeah. Here is Namath and OJ. So it's you don't really see these very often. It's a 1972 NFL Players Association, and it looks like there's, I don't know, 30 cards or so. And right next to it was this. Anybody from Canada know anything about this? Because I have, and I don't know what the value is. I think there two were like 1970 or 72. It's a complete set of OPG CFL, the CFL trading cards that they put out.
We do have a Canadian on here. Autograph guy is on here. Kevin Jones wants to know if John Brockington is in there.
In this set?
In the one before, the sticker set, I think.
Oh, let me see. Yeah. Green Bay Packers.
There you go. There he is.
Yeah. So anyway, as CFL said, I thought that was really interesting. There's a lot of cards too. It looks like there's about 180 cards. And I love some of these team names. If ever they get too politically correct and they make my Chiefs change their name, I want them to change it to the Rough Riders.
That's a good one.
I mean, come on. The Tiger Cats, the Blue Bombers, the Eskimos.
John Mangini is saying that there's a Joe Theismann card in that CFL.
There is. There is. There's a Joe Theismann rookie in that CFL set.
They're saying it's Opeachy 1972.
Yeah. 72. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't really I didn't really look at them that much. I was kind of interested in, I wanted to make sure the complete set was there. So I did look them up, 72.
He's saying George Rogers is the CFL card to have. John is.
Who's that?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Interesting.
Yeah. Found some Ripken rookies. And they all look to be in pretty, you know how they are. They look to be in
crispy.
But,
those are crispy.
I think it's, I don't know if it's worth to send these in unless you're, 10s are like really hard and 9s would probably be worth it. But
why don't you send them into HGA?
I watched the video on that and I commented to Ty. He answered. I'm not quite sure. It sounds good, but boy, they need to amp things up. I thought, wait a minute, you said you have 27 employees and you do 1,200 slabs a week. That doesn't sound very efficient. When you're putting out 50,000 slabs, how many employees are you going to have? 2,000?
Right.
Come on now. I mean, I don't get that.
You can't make any money. The overhead's going to be too high, right?
Yeah. So I don't get it.
It's so we got two new companies.
It's interesting. I wish I knew exactly how that AI worked, rather than a scan and then I'm not quite sure. But yeah, it wasn't a very interesting video for sure.
Yeah, that guy. I mean, you got two new companies kind of coming into the grading world. You got HGA, which is hybrid grading. For those of you that don't know, Ty on Bench Clear here did a interview with their CEO. This crazy card. Did you hear his budget, Dave, for cards?
Oh yeah, I mean it was ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Yeah,
And
I'm not quite, and it also made me wonder. Wait a minute. The only reason he's doing this and doing baseball cards is because the casinos were closed and he had to put his gambling income. I'm not quite sure how serious he is about this whole thing, but we'll see.
What do you think of the slabs? Have you seen the flips?
Yeah, some people don't think they take away from the card. I think they look fantastic.
I thought they looked pretty good too.
Yeah.
Especially, he said you could do them in a set. Like if you did a whole set, you could do it in set colors and team colors. And, I just think it's cool to have different options.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not like, hey, you got a blue flip or a yellow flip. I mean, they look fantastic. They really do.
I thought they did. So Gary Bink Scott wants to know why, after 20 plus years, hasn't anybody successfully broken into the grading market? What do you think? I think there's just a lot of barriers to entry, right?
Well, now if you think about it, there's probably been 30 different grading companies, maybe more. I bet you if you get on the internet a list of prior grading companies, these and admittedly, some of them didn't even get their feet much off the ground. That's why you've never heard of them. But I have seen that list, or I've seen that mentioned before on some forum, and there was a list of 30, 40 companies, and they just, they don't stick. It seems hard, and probably for some period of time, people thought that grading was probably going to be a transient thing, and it wasn't going to stick and whatnot. And lo and behold, it did. And by the time, grading became, hey, this equates grade with money. PSA, it had a firmly established registry, and everybody else, I mean, SGC has a registry. They don't think they have it anymore because completely lost out on it. So they just became the big monster, and it's going to be everybody else is just going to have to be happy with a small percentage. I don't think anybody's going to overtake PSA, but at least not in this foreseeable future. I don't know how that would happen. But
Dave, we got a question here from Mike. Do you have the T207 Tris speaker?
I saw that video you made.
Well, this other Mike's asking if you have one too.
No, I don't.
I mean, you mean I have something that you don't have? I don't believe it.
Yeah.
I was so happy just to pay for the one. I paid $700 for that one. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
They don't come up.
Interest in what you said about speaker is flat on. I mean, he is so probably like, Eddie Collins, very underappreciated in the collecting market.
Yep.
I ran across a Ricky too.
That looks sweet too.
That's really nice. I mean, it's pretty centered, and I'll have to look at it, but it looks like I should probably grade that. Here's another thing. So looking around, you find all these wax packs. Remember on one of the video I showed those wax packs of those girls, and I find wax packs of Close Encounter of the Third Kind, Dukes of Hazzard, sports cards, everything in the world. But when I was down there was one single pack, smashed to hell, with a bunch of magazines and junk, and it was a 1980 Topps baseball or basketball.
Okay.
Which is the, that could
Bird Johnson, yeah.
So I'm like, should I open this pack? And I did. And I did get a Johnson.
Nice.
Yeah.
That looks nice, actually.
Yeah, it does look nice, but I didn't get the big card. That would have been something else.
How are the cards in shape-wise?
They're pristine. And I don't know how that happens, but...
Did you eat the gum?
No, I did not eat the gum, and I didn't even think about eating the gum.
Speaking of gum, I got a question the other night, and I don't know if I was 100% correct, but the 81 had Donruss and Fleer both had gum in their packs. Is that right? Or just Fleer?
81?
Yeah. Remember the first year of Donruss and Fleer? They were allowed to have, they had gum, and then Topps got pissed at them, and that's why they started puzzles and stickers and the different things.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't remember. That was kind of a year that 81. I don't remember. Honestly, don't remember.
I know Donruss had gum for sure. Oh, Donruss did. I knew Fleer had gum. Okay, they both had gum according to our chat here. Hey, we got a question from New York Yanks fan right here. What kind of condition are your 77 top Star Wars cards in?
Those are, they're near mint. I think I have, I'm not sure if I have the complete, let's see, there's red, green, blue. Is that
yellow?
right?
There's yellow. I think there's 5 series.
Yeah, I may be missing one of the series. But they're in good condition. I actually, when I went down there, I was going to look to see if they had any, to look at the wax to see if they had any. I think I was supposed to look for, I can't remember, some TV show someone wanted me to look for, but I didn't find any. I did find some wax though.
Technical difficulties. Live television. Hi, Dave. You okay back there?
Yeah. Is it square?
No. Unless your picture's messed up. There you go. There you go.
Sorry
sort of. It's good enough.
I'll fix it. What I knocked over was I don't know how I knocked it over. You guys like Heartland statues?
Is that Johnny Unitas?
Yeah. It was on a shelf.
Nice.
Used to have the complete set of the baseball players, which I really like this.
Don says going to Dave's mother's basement must be like going to the National.
Well, yeah, you know, I go down there when she goes to bed. So we have our day, and then here it's 8:30 or whatnot, and I can't work her freaking TV remotes, nor can she. So sometimes I'll creep around in there. This is cool though, an '84 Tiffany.
Oh my goodness!
Set.
The Mattingly in there is worth a lot of money in a 10.
You know, I bought the 85 Tiffany set at a show in St. Louis in 99, I think.
To get the McGuire?
Yeah, McGuire was hot as fire then, right?
Yep.
Oh, here's another box I saw. 92 Topps Gold baseball.
That's the first year of Topps Gold.
Is it?
Yep. By the way, I still owe you money for my set.
I'll get it to you sometime. Don't worry about it. 81, a box of 81 Topps stickers.
Oh,
not a lot of value there. There's 2 cases of these down there.
No way.
And I had to grab one of these just to slowly get it out of the basement. But I have more 87 Topps boxes. I'm not kidding you.
You sent one to me.
Yeah,
I got one right behind me.
I got a bunch of cases and cases and cases.
90 Donruss.
Here's your 90 Donruss, yeah.
All right, we got
a lot of junk wax.
We got a good question here. from Peeps says, Dave, Mike, as iconic cards of all-time greats explode, i.e. the 80 Henderson, the Trout, the Griffey, etc., is there a card from the last 5 years that just grabs you that way? Like those cards do, I guess.
Not me personally, but I don't collect them, but a lot of people do. But I put together a mini collection of Trout, and otherwise I don't think I have any cards of any current or I got rid of them. I dabbled in them, you guys, over the last year or two, and then I thought the prices are high. I went out of these. I went just back into the vintage. So over the last 5 years, what do you think, Mike?
Not yet. I mean, time will tell. There certainly could be. But who's the best player of the last 5 years? I mean, could you say Acuna or Soto? But maybe. I mean, you just can't say it yet. They can't become iconic and use that word that Dave only uses for special cards for at least 20 years, right? I mean,
is Pepino Man here?
I haven't seen him talking.
Oh, okay.
Somebody said Mark said the Betts rookie, but that's 14, so that's not in the last. I think he's saying is there been a card issued in the last 5 years that? Then I just don't think so. But again, there might be someday, just not right now. The card hobbyist says there's more 87 Topps cards than dollars in the next stimulus package. That's no doubt.
Okay, here's a cool thing. Again, this is just a box. I thought, well, what is this? Because I honestly did not know what it is. And it's from 1950, the American Association of Professional Baseball Clubs. And I did not know what this is. And I got on PSA, or I was trying to find the value of it. It's pretty valuable. And really, there's not, PSA's only graded, I don't know, like, I can't remember, 10 or 15 or something like that. But it's a
what year?
Cool image. 1950.
Wow.
Compliments to the American Association of Professional Baseball Clubs. So I thought that was pretty cool.
What did your dad just seemed like he had eclectic tastes? He just kind of liked everything. And
well, if you made me pin him down or pin down what did he collect, I would say 50s baseball, especially the Bowmans, and he was a type collector, and he was a Mathewson collector. I mean, he was far beyond that, but if you made me, hey, identify it, that's what I would identify.
Is that what's
made? It's like anything else. You tend to gravitate, and people say, "Oh, modern's always going to be great because these are the cards of my childhood." And I don't remember playing Mickey Mantle. Playing the old. I never saw Mantle or Clemente play, and nor will my kids, so they're not going to be interested in them. It's like it's not even an argument. I mean, I didn't see Ty Cobb or Babe Ruth play either. But my point is people like to collect the players that they enjoyed when there's a kid or right now. And so that's what my dad did. That's why there was a lot of interest in 50s cards, I think. John has shown these before, I think. These are the Royal Desserts came out with cards on their desserts that you could cut out, kind of like Jello cards, but they also had premiums. That's Dom DiMaggio, and so there's a whole stack of them, which I saw those laying there in a stack, and I thought that was pretty cool. Royal.
Who are they made out to? It looks like
they're facsimiles, and they all say to a royal fan.
Ah,
yeah. Pavko and Kell and Alvin Dark.
Do you think that collectors today give any rat's ass about the history of baseball? Oh, I love that Ripken. The 93. Those were box toppers in 93.
Yeah, I saw those in a stack. I don't know if they, I don't know, you know.
Oh, there's a Juan Gonzalez in that set too, somewhere. You probably just picked out the Hall of Famers.
No, I just grabbed whatever stack was there. Bo. Yeah. They're cool though. I don't think box toppers are really real popular, are they? People tend not to like big things sometimes.
They're just hard to store. People think, and
yeah,
I think people just nah. I mean, if you're a player collector, you'll get them, and then you'll have a section of, like, I used to have sections of bigger cards for those players, you know, that I collected. And a lot of people are saying that collectors care about the game and the history. The flippers and the investors don't care. They just care about the almighty dollar, that makes sense, right?
Oh yeah, they don't care about anything. I mean, they don't care about the cards themselves, and that's okay. They care about making a quick buck. And initially I didn't, the thought just completely despised me so much, but it's just all part of it, just part of the whole thing. I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, they're making some money and they're maybe getting some interest into the hobby that I'm not sure how much of it will stick. It's really easy to be part of something when the monetary growth is skyrocketing. It's really easy to make the call and to be the guy that recommends cards or makes videos with graphs that show arrows going up and predict. It's really easy to do. You probably remember the mid-90s when the stock market was on fire and everybody, and their mother was making stock market prediction and recommending stocks, and they were all right because the stocks were on fire for some time.
Throw a dart and you're going to make money.
Exactly. And it's the same thing now. What I want to do is I want to hear from you when the card market is down or flat, and then I want to hear from you. Most those people, when that happens, will disappear because they're just out, they're in it for the money, which is fine.
Yeah, that'll end, in my video last Friday when I talked about kind of all these convergence of things that have created this perfect storm of crazy prices. There's, I don't know, 15 or 20 other things you could throw into the mix that are adding to it too. The China thing is very interesting. And I learned a little more about that today, that there is mountains of money being invested in sports cards in America. It's from China. It's crazy. And it's from a source that I really trust. So that doesn't surprise me. It worries me about the longevity of that, obviously, because they're just doing it as a store of value. But, sorry. Go ahead.
I would think that the people that are if you're from China and you want to invest in baseball cards, this is not what you're investing in.
Right.
You're investing in whatever, 52 Topps Mantle or a 51 Bowman Mays or the early Jordans. I mean, so I know boats rise but all these quote unquote big investors, if you're talking about the big dollar people, I would assume that they're investing in cars that we don't own for the most part. That's my guess.
You want another question?
Yeah.
Mike Canadian Card says, I'm curious to know when and if Dave's dad or father stopped collecting, setting up shows, or attending shows. Did he ever stop?
No, he never stopped. He didn't. He set up at local shows in Kansas City, and we would have one at the Glenwood Manor every August. I think was kind of the big one, and of course there were smaller shows too. And he kind of set up at those, but for the most part, and he sold cards and he sold them through SCD and whatnot. But he was not a dealer. He was I'm going to sell some cards to make some money, or I'm going to try to do this as a side because I'm a school teacher. But by far, he was a collector, and he never stopped. So we started somewhere in the earlier 70s. And when he retired from teaching in 96, actually semi-retired, but that's when he did a big sell-off with Al Rose and Mr. Mint, came over to the house in Overland Park for a weekend. And so he got some money for some stuff, he didn't sell all his stuff. And then he just kept collecting after that. He just started kind of over again on a lot of stuff. So he never, ever stopped. When he passed away, you know how you trying to put things together, and we found emails from eBay, hey, where's my cards? So yeah, so he was collecting and selling right all the way through. Yeah.
Do you have any more of the 53 Bowman extension sets that you and your dad did? I think you should give one away.
I will be happy to give this away. Why did I? Oh, I know why I picked this up. Because I found another letter from my dad. And this perhaps doesn't show my dad in the greatest light. But this is from Baseball Hobby News, which is a publication. So just for the backstory real quick, for people that don't know, in 1979, my dad had this great idea to produce an extension set of the 1953 Bowman black and white set, which, as you know, that set is not great and it has no stars in it. The 53 Bowman color, of course, is magnificent. So what he wanted to do is let's make a set of cards of the start off where they left off, go up to 65 and do the stars that were not in that set, you know, Mantle and Banks and Satchel Paige and Jackie Robinson, etc. So we spent the entire summer or longer getting old photos, cropping them, figuring out who's going to sue us for this, who's not going to sue us for that. And my dad did the bios, and these look exactly like 1953 Bowman black and white, except for at the bottom, the trademark here, instead of being tops, it says BBBBGTM, which is off of Saturday Night Live. Baseball been very, very good to me. So the backstory is we made these, and he wanted to keep it perfectly secret, and nobody ever knew that he made them until the day he died, although I kind of let the cat out of the bag. And we were going to make these sets, and what he was going to do, and what he did do, is send them to places as this oddity, and what are these cards, and try to develop some scarcity. So the Baseball Hobby News wrote an article on the set, and they wrote to my dad noticing, hey, I noticed that you're advertising to buy these sets. So what my dad did is we made these sets, and then he sent them out to anonymously to some card shows and to prominent baseball people. But he also, he also on some of them would exclude the Mays card to kind of create is this a short print? So Baseball Hobby News went crazy on it, and what is this thing? And hey, this must be someone out there who's printed millions of them. So my dad sent them a letter saying, you don't know what you're talking about. What makes you think whoever created these? Anyway, it's this big correspondence between a big publication and my dad, who anonymously made this set, and he's trying to keep the interest going on it, but it never blossomed.
How many do you think he printed?
Oh, a lot. There's a lot. I have a lot.
I have mine right here.
Yeah. I don't know how many sets. I would guess 5,000 maybe.
Okay.
The really cool things are the uncut sheets. And I have a stack about that big of uncut sheets. And I've mailed them to a few people, but it's just so costly. I would mail them out, but it's just so costly to mail something like that. And it's not big enough that you can roll it. So, but anyway, yeah, I do have a set, and who wanted to know? Because
I was just thinking that'd be funny to or
But
fun to get one away.
did you say somebody asked about it or no? Or
Yeah. Yes, somebody did.
well, whoever it is, find out who it is, and we'll see.
Don's Field of Dreams cards. He says, I love the set that Dave and his father created, so he should get the set.
Yeah, he should get the set. He can contact me if you just contact me through one of my videos and whatnot.
He said he'd love to purchase one, but I don't think he'll have to.
No.
So,
no.
All right. Good for you, Don. You'll love it. It's very, very cool, by the way.
It's cool. I'll have to admit, it's cool.
I love them. I have a bunch of them.
So while Jordan's hot, I thought, well, I'm down there. When I'm going through boxes, I'm going to see if there's any Jordans. And I didn't really look for Jordans, but I did find some.
Okay.
Actually, on my last video, showed this one that I bought in a 9. And what do you know? I go to my mother's and look in a box and I find one.
That one's not a 9, though.
It's not. It's like terribly centered. And actually, I think that this was not. I think this is my card because I remember back in the early 90s. Do you remember teletrade?
God, that's a long time ago. Good
Yeah.
grief.
You get on the telephone. I think you got what was in the auction, and then you get on a telephone and you type in the whatever code it was, and you say $79.40, and then you hang up. It was really weird, but pretty sure I got that on teletrade. But these are pretty good.
Oh yeah,
that's really good. So my goal this time going down there, honestly, was to not look at vintage stuff. Is really just to look at moderns, see if I could find any modern stuff. So, and there's a ton of modern. And what's interesting is, by modern, I mean post 1980. That's my personal modern. But the climate changes where I could have been down there, maybe looked at something like 8 years ago and just said, and relook at it today. And there could be some value in there.
Oh yeah.
I kind of like this card, the Skybox. What is it? Is it 90 or 90?
That's 9091 Skybox.
Yeah.
I only know because I have a whole set of it, or a whole unopened box right here.
I got 2 cases of that.
Do you really?
Yeah.
So I just sold. I found 390 Fleer unopened basketball boxes up in my attic.
Whoa, yeah.
Which are about $250 to $300 a piece.
Yeah.
I sold all of them, 3 of those plus the Skybox box and a 89 Hoops, which has the David Robinson rookie and stuff, and I sold them all for $800. So that bought me a PSA 1 Tris speaker.
Well, it's nice to hear that you're selling some stuff.
Well, I'm not a basketball guy, so I just have to ship them out. The guy that bought them from me is on vacation, so I'm not going to send them till.
Here's those Hall of Fame plaques I'm talking about. I'm sure you've got those by the Grove. And Feller signed.
I have a whole binder full of those.
Yeah, they're awesome, and they're great for autographs. Really great for autographs.
Yeah, every year at the National, the new guys, whoever's gotten elected, have, they're always stacks of them. People have gotten signed at the Hall of Fame, because usually, the National's a week or 2 after the Hall of Fame induction. And anyway, they're always super expensive, $40, $50, $60 a piece, which is, to me, crazy. Oh, I love those cards. Is that Mathewson?
Yeah, you saw that gold set that I showed a couple videos ago? These all-time greats.
Yep.
And this is the silver one that are I believe this is a silver one. It's quite a bit more rare than the gold.
Will PSA grade those?
Yeah. Yeah, they'll grade it.
Yeah, KBO is talking about nothing wrong with found money. And yes, that's a perfect example of what I was talking about with found money, that they were literally just in my attic. I sold them in about 5 minutes to the first guy I talked to about them. And I was able to turn that into, and I felt easy spending that money because I'm like, hey, I just found it. I just found it in my attic. So that was an easy purchase for me. So where'd you find that Mathewson?
He had this drawer of his desk, and he was a big Mathewson collector. And I was looking in the drawer, and there's tons of Mathewson stuff in there, but it was all just junky, reproducible postcards and, 50s postcards. And it was in there with that. He had a great Mathewson collection, really great. I don't know, never did ask him why he got so hung up on Mathewson, but he had a really good Mathewson collection, and he got me on it too. So no, that's where I found
it. Bart's wanting to know what else is in the attic. I have so many cards up in my attic. I'm not kidding.
Would you worry about the humidity in your attic, or? I mean, you're in Texas, for God's sake.
Yeah, I mean, more probably the heat, but
yeah,
it's I don't have anywhere else. I literally don't have anywhere else to put them. So what are you gonna do? Like you in the attic? Mm-hmm. Oh man,
this is in bad condition, but it's this.
Show it again. I'll make your screen bigger. Don Mueller, huh?
Yeah. I have the maze graded. I made a video of it a couple of years ago. I have the maze, and my maze is just fantastic, but there's not a lot of stars, Bobby Thompson, on this. I can't remember the checklist, but essentially it's got the Giants 52 home schedule on it. And, it's called Coke's Playing Tips, and it has some playing tips on the back. I assume, it went like Hires root beer, whatever. It went down in your 6-pack of bottles, Yep. I love stuff like that.
Let me ask you this.
If you were a kid in the 50s and collected baseball cards, now I understand there was no internet, and so you only had what you had there. Everything's regional. Nobody knew what was going outside your city. But I mean, God, there was so much food and beverage stuff, and baseball was king of the world in the 50s, and all the players they advertised, they were on cigarettes and in magazines, and they were on collectible stuff. It was just, now players these days they're so well paid that they really don't have much interest in putting themselves on a product by Coca-Cola. I mean, it'll make them some more money, but I think even they realize at some point, I got enough freaking money. I don't need to do that. Where back when I was a kid, the football players were working in the off season. So Mike Trout, I don't know much about Mike Trout, but I think he keeps to himself, and he doesn't feel like he needs to put himself out there and advertise and promote Major League Baseball and whatnot. But, those players back in the 50s, they're the stars, they were everywhere. So that's why there's so many cool products from the 50s with, whether it's advertising or food or beverage, they got their face out there, whether it's in a bag of chips or some hot dogs.
So here's a question for you. You and I were talking, I think just mainly via YouTube comments and maybe a couple of texts, but in the 50s, I think, because we were talking about Mathewson, so it made me think of this topic. You and I were talking about Feller and Spawn and some of these other pitchers that I think are just completely underappreciated in the hobby, largely ignored, really. I mean, how great was Bob Feller? I mean, people don't understand how good he was.
Yeah, I think if Bob Feller hadn't served in the war, he'd have like 350 wins.
Oh, yeah.
Like that. I mean, just ridiculous. I don't know why that is, because I don't know. They didn't have the luxury of playing for the Dodgers or the Yankees or the Red Sox. They're playing for Milwaukee and Cleveland, and I don't know if that has a thing to do with it or not. Cleveland's team was not.
Spawn won what, 373 games or something crazy?
Oh yeah. I don't get it. I mean, so obviously greatness alone does not equate to either collectability or value.
Yeah, there's a difference, and Eric, those back pages talks about this. We talk about it privately all the time. There's a difference between baseball good and hobby good, right? And it's all about where you play. 363 wins for Spawn. Sorry, guys. I'm doing it out of memory. I was actually pretty close. But hobby good and baseball good are two very different things. And I never understood it. I guess it is what it is, but
no, I think you have to be number one. You don't have to be a good player at all for someone to collect your cards. I mean, the first cards I collected were Mike Fiore, who played for the Royals, and I remember when they came up. For some reason, I like Mike Fiore, who probably lasted just a couple years in the league. But you've got to be a good to great player. I think it helps your exposure on actually what city you play in, probably helps a lot. And I don't think just being a good player, great player makes you popular, to be honest with you. I think you have to be out there and good to the fans and be a notably likable person. Mantle was a likable person. He drank a lot and he womanized, but he had that boyish grin, and even it shows in the 80s he was happy and nice and whatnot, unlike Willie Mays, who was a big turd. And I think that hurts his image in collectors, because there's a lot of collectors my age and older and maybe some younger that he's a disagreeable fellow,
right?
And it's Bonds.
Perfect modern example. Yeah, perfect modern example. And that he was taught that by Willie Mays and his dad.
Maybe, I don't know.
He was, as a kid, he was taught. Willie Mays is his godfather.
Yeah,
and he and Bobby Bonds were really tight. And when he had Barry, he brought Barry up to say, "Dude, don't let him get to you," kind of thing. And he didn't. And it's, I think, a big reason why he's not in the Hall of Fame, regardless of PEDs.
Yeah, completely
68 tops
different
game.
Attitudes.
68 tops game. Love it.
Yeah. All he did was, I watched this video. I talk about this video a lot because it's so funny and I love it so much, where it's a YouTube video where Frank Howard is talking about Mantle, and Frank Howard was talking to his pitcher. How are you gonna pitch Mantle tomorrow? And the pitcher was really cocky. It's a hilarious story. But later on in the video, he's at a card shop, obviously signing stuff. And he talks about who was the greatest overall hitter he'd ever seen. And here he is. He was the greatest hitter. Not that Frank Howard saw them all, but he certainly knew baseball through the 50s through 70s. And he said the greatest overall player he ever saw was
Henry Aaron. Willie Mays.
Mays. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not surprising. I mean,
who is the most famous earliest player you ever remember seeing? Well, do you remember seeing Aaron hit 715?
No, I was 1 year old.
No. Okay. I was out shooting baskets and my dad called me in and said, "You better come in. He's at bat." And so I did.
You got to see it?
Yeah. So who's the most famous earliest player?
Well, I remember
you're talking to a guy that watched him walk on the moon in 1969. So
right.
I do have an advantage.
I remember watching Seaver and Carlton and Nolan Ryan, obviously, and I'm just thinking of pitchers right now. But then you had Pete Rose. He was huge in the early 80s when I was The first World Series I remember watching was the 1980 World Series. Phillies, I think, won that one.
Yes, they did. They beat the Royals.
So, I mean, George Brett, I hated George Brett because they were in the AL West with the Rangers, and he killed the Rangers all the time. I remember watching Pete Rose get the hit record. I do remember watching that.
Okay, I don't think I saw that.
But when he passed Ty Cobb.
Yeah.
But Mike Schmidt, God, those were some really good teams. Johnny Bench, I remember the end of Bench's career. Yastrzemski, those guys. That's my childhood, so to speak.
Well, mine is, I would love to say I remember watching Mantle play. I would love to say that, but I can't say that because I don't. I'm sure I did, but I don't remember. But probably the biggest star that I remember vividly watching and playing was Clemente. When he came to bat, I was like mesmerized. Just his batting stance, and sometimes he'd pump his elbow. I remember just as a kid, I wanted to, I don't think he always did that, and he had this awkward swing. I don't know. He's so good, but that's my one I remember most. I'm trying to think of anybody around there. I know K-Line and whatnot, and everybody after that. But as far as somebody that like quit playing in the early 60s, I don't really remember.
Do you remember Clemente passing away and how you felt?
Yeah, because I was a big fan of his.
How'd you feel?
I remember being really upset and sad and not really quite understanding it and didn't understand the situation. But so I would have been, 10, I guess. But yeah, I definitely remember that.
Yeah, because that happened. I was literally like 2 months old when he died.
Yeah.
But I remember reading when I was a kid, baseball books were huge and you could find them. They had baseball books on everything. But the thing for me was this book right here. This is from when I was a kid.
Right on. Yeah.
And I would just flip through it and read and I would memorize who the top guys were in each major hitting category. Who were all the guys that back then you could name the guys that have hit 500 home runs like on two hands. It was a very short list, and it's not that way anymore, obviously. And they don't even make now. You have Baseball Reference, which is a wonderful, wonderful thing, but books were huge for me just to learn the game. And then I got the 83 Donruss Hall of Fame Heroes set, which really introduced me to some of these older guys because new cards with old guys, which apparently wasn't a very popular thing.
Yeah.
But I thought it was great to learn about these old players. And
third time around, listen to the 1967 World Series on the radio. When I was a kid, it seemed to me that either the playoffs or World Series, and it was long ago, and I can't remember. This had been late 60s, very early 70s, I think late 60s. They would wheel TVs into our lunchroom in grade school.
Really?
They did that for the playoff games and World Series games because they were afternoon games sometimes. And I remember them doing that for the Apollo 11 moon landing. And no, that was in July. But anyway, baseball games, I remember them doing that.
I remember watching the Challenger explode live in school. 1987 or 86 maybe. So I was 13-ish.
Yeah.
Second, third grade, something like that. But remembering those things, I don't know. I think it only makes you want to, especially baseball moments, makes me just want to learn about more of those moments. all the crazy stuff, that happened. Like I never saw the Mazeroski, home run or the shot heard around the world, Bobby Thompson. But I have this, I've seen him on video. I just didn't watch him live, I didn't experience it.
I did see Fisk's home run, Game 6 home run live. And I've seen, one other thing I'm really proud of seeing live is Franco Harris's Immaculate Reception live on TV, because I was a huge Steelers. I didn't bandwagon. For some reason, I became a huge Steelers fan, like in 71 for some reason. So I rode that bandwagon for all those great teams all the way through the 70s. But I watched that game. I hated Oakland at that time, being from Kansas City and a Chiefs fan. So I hated Oakland. So I watched that live, and that was amazing.
Is there a baseball card set that you don't have, that you like, an old set that you wish you had?
Oh, yeah. I need to spend some time to think about which one.
I'll bet you it's the same one that I have. What's yours?
A baseball set that I don't have that I wish I had. There's a lot of them. Some sets are just ridiculous, right? Like 33 Gaudy. You can't say that. We all wish we had those sets, but
sure,
affordable sets, I wish I had. I wish I had like a Diamond Star set, and I wish I had like a 53 Bowman set, which I don't.
I wish I had the 51 Connie Mack All-Stars set.
There's some real rarities in that.
I love that set.
Some of those are extraordinarily short printed. Extraordinarily, and they're not like the superstars like the Gehrig or Ruth or Matheson or whatnot, but there's a couple players. So that was 51, right?
Yeah, and Topps made it, right?
Yeah, Topps was kind of finding themselves with that. That they did that Magic Photo, and they did the red back, blue back set, and then that came out, and then on 52 it was all over.
Yeah, Cy Berger destroyed everybody. Destroyed Bowman anyway.
Yeah.
That was the beginning of the end, and they didn't even know it. What's your favorite Bowman set besides 49? I know you love 49.
54. I love that set. If you like 51 and 52, they're so similar. And I got my 51 Bowman set it's really good. I don't like 55, and I don't have 50. Who doesn't like the 53 Bowman set? You can't. Of course, everybody loves it, but it's my personal favorite. I love the 54 because I love. Well, Mantle's not the 53, right? Nor is Williams. So. And they're in the 54 Bowman, and both those images of the 54 Bowman, Mantle and Ted Williams, are just a fantastic.
You have the 54 Bowman Ted Williams?
I do.
I didn't know. I don't remember seeing that card before.
Yeah, I made an early video of it a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I have I like the 55 more than I ever thought I would, honestly. The TV set cards, they've grown on me a lot. I really like them.
I don't know why it hasn't grown on me, but.
And Mantle is in the 53 Bowman set, the color.
Oh yeah, that's right. Dumb me. Yeah, I have one of those. So. Found a Gwen. Nice. Actually, I found two Gwens.
I went the wrong way. Hold on.
Right.
Nobody wants to see me. That's for darn sure.
What is deal with Topps and centering in the 70s? They're just terrible.
And the 80s.
Terrible.
Not much quality control.
Yeah. Do you have any of these old felts? These old blankets?
No, but I think they're cool. They're one of those, hard to store, kind of items as well. Who's the other one that you had? I didn't see the name.
Ed Walsh and Wiltz.
Ed Walsh, Hall of Famer.
Yeah. One's got a stain on it, but yeah, I think they're cool. They're really cool, actually.
Yeah.
They don't make cool stuff like that anymore.
Well, they do. They just overproduce the piss out of it, and it makes it not cool anymore.
Yeah, they overproduce everything, and then what they justify their rarity by stamping numbers on them.
What's the most creative thing? I'm just trying to think of. They were always trying to innovate back in the day, right? How do we do something different? These felts or these, all kinds of crazy stuff.
But you remember, they're trying to sell a product too.
Right.
Although you wonder about the T206. I don't think they were trying to hype their, I'm not sure what they were thinking. They made a bazillion of those, but, a lot of them were advertising, and you just don't see now you don't see the baseball or the sports related advertising stuff as much. But anyway, go ahead with what you're thinking there.
No, is there anything recent in terms of creativity by the manufacturers that you just really dig, that you just really like? I don't know. I'm not, Chrome, but I don't know. That's refractors.
Yeah, I love refractors.
Yeah.
They're awesome. I like shiny, cool cards, and people don't like die cut cards, and I kind of like those as well. But a lot of times the cool stuff didn't come in a pack in the old days, and nowadays,
I remember Topps Laser, like in 95, 96, or, just they always tried something, and it would be some gimmicky thing, and they'd get rid of it. Mark wants to know if you found any 84 Donruss wax boxes in your mom's basement.
I don't know. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
And then we got this question from Ruben. If you had to get rid of your collection, keep one card, what card would that be? Wow.
Well, if I had to give it away or sell it, or
if you had to sell your collection,
I would probably just keep the 54 Red Heart mantle that my dad gave me. The one that's in a 6. You got to keep something that's close to your heart.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what I would keep. Did you guys have Shakey's Pizza?
Nope.
Back in the 80s, everybody was making baseball stuff. I think this is the 80s, but when I was a kid, Shakey's Pizza.
Those are awesome.
Yeah, this is a set. It doesn't have any value to it, but I found this and I thought, hell, I loved Shakey's Pizza when I was a kid, and this is kind of a cool set. It's why they made this in the 80s, that it's old time guys. Tony Lazzari, Lefty O'Doul, DiMaggio, Wainer. I don't know where it comes from, but
do you know about Lefty O'Doul? I think he should be in the Hall of Fame.
I don't know much about him.
He hit like 350 for his career, but his career was only like 12 years long. He was really, I went and looked him up because I was looking up guys that hit better than Tris Speaker when I was doing my research for the video that I knew had coming up when I got that card. And I saw Lefty O'Doul. I'm like, who is, I've heard of him, but I didn't know much about him. And I'm like, holy crap, this guy was really good. He just had a weird career. He started as a pitcher. That's why he's called Lefty O'Doul. All the pitchers, Lefty Grove and whatnot. But yeah, Yeah, he's in the Japanese Baseball Hall of Fame because he was a big ambassador for Japanese baseball or Americans and all that kind of stuff. But he had converted from a pitcher to a hitter. Turns out he was a pretty darn good hitter too. But
Wow.
Anyway, just
Brandon Keefe said he had 7-Eleven cup cards. I don't know if he's talking about the cups that had players on them. Back in the early 70s, you go in there and you get your icy, and it had a baseball player on it. They put them on RC Cola cans and pop cans. And the one thing that I did get out of the 7-Eleven was those Icy Bear basketball cards. I love those. I think those are from 72. Love those.
I was big into.
I've got a Maravich and a Jabbar, I think. I don't know.
I love the Slurpee coins. I used to, back in the, what was it, mid 80s, 84, 85 probably. I think actually George just did a video. George Diamond Yard Sports Cards did a video on them. And Mark asks, if your house was on fire, what would be the card that you would leave behind to burn? Oh,
it would have been that Tom Brady, but I sold it.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hold on, my camera, I think, got screwed up here. Not that anybody, again, cares to see me anyway. I did plug it back in. It's saying you need to plug your camera back in. But I did. It is plugged in.
Here's something kind of cool I found. Some of these old Barry Sanders cards.
Here, I'll just make you big so that I can
That's right.
fix this.
There's no. I think Sanders has a lot more room to grow.
I think my camera's done for the night, so I don't know what happened.
All right.
That's okay. I don't need to.
We got a cartoon picture of you.
Yeah, that's my that's my custom that JT did for me. My Keith Shore baseball collector card.
Okay. Brandon's again says, what was the first card that started you collecting?
81 Donruss for me, which is depressing that was the first set I remember buying.
I think the cards that got me interested in was in 1970, those Topps, those big Topps super cards. They did baseball and football. And you get 2 cards per pack. I think they were a dime. They were a nickel or a dime. I don't remember. But those were these big, thick cards, if you guys have seen them. I got a set of them, and those are very easy to collect and not expensive. Those are the first cards that I bought with as a kid. So I would say that would probably be the one that got me into collecting, I think.
Did you go to a lot of baseball games as a kid?
We probably went to.
Hey, I'm back.
There you're back. I don't know. Not a lot. No, maybe 3 or 4 per season.
All Royals games?
Yeah, when I was a kid, all Royals games.
All right, I want to play.
I haven't been to that many stadiums. I can easily name them. I've been to the old Municipal Stadium at Royals, their new one, both Chicago ballparks, Fenway, Cleveland. I went at last National. I went Cleveland. Was playing the Angels. So I've probably only been to, I don't know, 6 ballparks or so. Some people just make it a summer thing where they're trying to hammer out every ballpark, which is cool.
We're gonna play a game. It's an 88 Fleer rack pack. So I'm gonna open this up. I'm going to show you a card. And you got to try to guess who the player is.
That's not going to happen.
Why not?
You don't realize what my collecting era is.
You would know some of these players. An 88 Fleer, right?
That was actually I stopped, most people stopped collecting for a period of time. And that was especially during my probably 85 to 93, I was like out of it. But go ahead and embarrass me. I'm fine.
No, we'll see who. I'll do one. I mean, I'm going to open it up, so I'll open all 3 packs. But let's see if you can get any of these. These rack packs these are Toys R Us exclusives on here, $1.29. So if there's any Royals, you'll get them for sure. Right? Okay.
Probably.
All right, here we go. First off, the sticker is great. Texas Rangers.
Yeah.
All right, I'll use that to all right, here's the first card. I'm going to use the sticker as a, let's see. Do you know who that is?
Is that Mickey Rivers?
No. Here, I'll make my screen bigger. Might help everybody.
Is that Mattingly?
Don Mattingly. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, next card. Oh, they go from the, I forgot.
Everybody else on here, like, I don't know any Cincinnati Reds players from the 80s except for Eric Davis.
He's in the Hall of Fame. This guy's in the Hall of Fame.
I don't know who that is. Barry Larkin.
Larkin. Wonder if it would help if I turn this light off. Yeah, probably. There we go. That's much better. Much less glare. All right, let's see who this. Oh, that's not fair. Schmidt and Carter. All right. Who is that guy? I don't know who that. Dave Meads. I don't know. Some of these are like, no way.
Is that Reggie?
Fred Manrique.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
God, some of these are just terrible. Oh, you know who that is?
Yeah, I do.
Who is it?
I'm having a brain fart, but I know. Yeah, Dawson. Okay.
Andre Dawson.
Yeah.
This has some Hall of Famers in it. That's pretty good. Let's see. Oh, I know who that is. Rob Deere, king of the strikeout back in the 80s, man. He set many single season strikeout records. Oh, there's another Hall of Famer.
Who is that? Schmaltz. I don't know who that is.
Glavine. You really
Those
weren't
cards are
around.
butt ugly.
Yeah.
Those are terrible.
They
Yeah,
make me think of being a kid.
I know the players, but I
don't know who that is.
So,
Oh, it's oh, pisser. He's a catcher. Dave Valier, whatever. Dang it. Is that I wanted to say Claudel Washington, but that's not it. Eddie Milner, never heard of him. Never gonna make it.
if it's Claudel Washington, he'd have a toothpick.
Oh,
in his
you know who that is?
Gibson.
Yep. All right. Candy. Oh, I was going to say Candy Maldonado, but it's Carmelo Martinez. Some of them, if I just know, I don't know. Then, oh, you know who that is?
Yeah, I got his rookie card right here.
Eddie Murray.
Yeah, let me see.
Did you find that one in the basement too?
Yeah, in terrible condition.
Is that Mark Bellinger or Tim Belcher? Okay, here's the last one. You can get this one.
All right. Oh, Reggie.
See, that was mildly fun.
That was terrible.
Not really.
But I do remember Reggie, and I like telling the story when I was out in Lake George, New York with a girlfriend, and I was is the kind of girlfriend you have when you're 9 years old on a summer vacation at a lake on Lake George in a cottage, but watching the 71 All-Star game and watching it in Detroit and Reggie Jackson hitting one off the top of the right field. It was essentially out of the stadium, but it hit something on top of the roof there. You got to YouTube that. It's just incredible.
What else you got to show? We've been on an hour and a half, so I feel
let's get off. Jesus, I got to work tomorrow.
That was fun, man. I love just chatting the hobby with you.
You
and I
talking about things.
We can just talk and talk and talk. Are you coming down in March for the show?
I won't be down in March. It's just too early, I think, and I don't even know what my schedule is, to be honest with you. But so the next one will be in like May or June or
early June.
Yeah, that should be very doable.
What would you tell people if they've never been to a national and they're trying to decide, assuming everything's good and it happens and whatnot, what would you tell people about going to the national?
I would say that you got to go, with the anticipation. I mean, I don't go expecting to buy anything at all. I want to be there for the people and the crowds and the eye candy all over the place. It's completely different than any other show. Any other show is small potatoes compared to it. And if you just decide, well, I'm going to pop in for 2 days, you're going to regret it and wish you'd stayed 3 or 4. It's a do not miss for any sort of sports collector. With that, it's just fantastic. It's like Christmas.
Yeah, it is. It's so much fun. Well, thanks for doing this with me, Dave. That was a good idea. Good idea you had to do this.
Yeah, I just wanted to just chat a little bit. Thanks for not bringing up the Super Bowl.
So I didn't bring it up. Somebody else brought it.
I said thanks for not doing it.
You told me not to. So, well, everybody out there, thanks for
thanks for checking in.
And we'll catch you guys soon. Keep collecting.